and then you have, before you know it, you have the beginning of the end, which is
Yeah. Yeah.
the Deathly Hallows.
Oh,
How do you even begin the Deathly Hallows?
I don't know, man. Like, I
Like I
think,
have the book here with me, and I'm just smelling that old paper smell of just reading
man,
this book way back. I think in 2008,
oh
2009.
my,
What is that? 11 years, 12 years
yeah.
ago. Fuck, I remember it was my 10th grade, and back here in India, everyone takes their 10th grade way too seriously. And I remember like before my final exams, a month before or so, the book came out.
Right.
And there was this girl in our class that had bought the book, and I was so tempted. I was so tempted. And you know what she did?
What?
The first thing she did, she hadn't opened the book.
Huh.
This was way before spoiler culture had come to the country
Huh.
or to the world. She opens the book in front of
Huh.
all of us. She's never opened it before.
Huh.
She turns it to the last page and she reads, "The scar had not pained Harry for 19 years. All was well."
Oh my God.
She did that.
That's that.
That was that was so
Why
that
would you
was
do that?
That was so
No.
frustrating. Like that was the first time. Like she was one of those school kids, okay? Like remember those school kids back when the first iPhone came out and when the first
Yeah.
Harry Potter book came out, and it wasn't available to purchase in the market. One of those school
They
kids that
just had it. Yeah.
yeah, they have one of those rich ass dads, and they find a way to get it from the UK or from the US, wherever. She's
Yeah.
one of
Yeah.
those
Yeah.
kids, right? And she had the book at least a month before it, or like at least 20 days before it hit the Indian markets, and this is the first thing she did.
That's
Oh
that's
my
that's
God!
that's a that's an asshole move.
Like,
That's a
like,
full-on asshole move.
I don't know if this girl is listening to this podcast. I hope you become a better human being, because that is not what you do. You're as pathetic as Umbridge. Like that,
I
that's a classic Umbridge. That's what Dolores would have done. But yeah,
uh,
that's how Deathly Hallows began for me, man. And
honestly, like for me, as I said, like I was really late to reading the book. Very very late to reading the book. So I because as I said, as in school, I never was interested in reading
hmm,
other than anything. So I kind of read it afterwards, after the whole saga was over. And for me, again, the funny thing of it all is, for you the books were your entryway into the Harry Potter universe, and for you the seventh book was your 10th grade. uh,
yeah.
for me, the seventh movie was my 10th grade. Yeah.
Ooh,
So it came out around 2010, right?
yeah.
The seventh movie. And I remember all, and this is, I think, my favorite memory with Harry Potter. The fact that all of us, most of the school, or most of our class, genuinely skipped school that day to go watch that movie in the
How
theater.
cool is that,
All,
man?
like, almost, like, there were a good amount of people, okay, and all of us went to the theater to watch like, it didn't matter if you were like, cool kid, not cool kid, whatever, just like we were Harry Potter fans, we were Potterheads, and we wanted to go for the freaking movie. And
How cool is that,
just
man?
watching that movie with everyone, and the funniest thing happened in that theater, okay, and this is, I think, this is the stupidest thing that could have happened at this most emotional moment in that movie. Is when Dobby died, right? And
Oh, damn.
hits you hard, really really
Hits
hard.
you in the feels, man. Just
Yeah, 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 man. And the funny part was, like, as soon as Dobby dies, there's this little kid, okay, in the theater, who just makes that, that kiddish noise of, like, just crying, like crying kiddish noise, okay, and it sounded
yeah.
so cute that everybody, instead of crying and feeling like that sadness of that moment, like, we all just looked at each other and had a laugh of, like, of, it was just too cute, it was just too pure. Like, when something is so pure, you just like smile out of genuine
Yeah,
happiness.
you
Like,
suck, kid. Let me be sad. I want to be sad. Don't
no, no,
awe
no.
me.
It wasn't about just like the kid being that. It's just that that kid was also so invested in that character of Dobby,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
It's just so sweet and pure that just that kid had that moment of crying, and then everybody. I feel like that would have been quite traumatizing for the kid, but everybody laughed in the theater. And I vividly remember that in my head, like that
yeah.
memory of just that happening and all of us laughing together in the theater. And Oh my
Dude,
god.
Dobby is such a beautiful soul, man. Such a pure
Yeah.
soul. Like,
Realize
damn, he
Dobby
stands,
of life.
stands. Yeah. Like, and Harry says, I wanna do it with my own hands, no magic.
Yeah. Like that the movie.
That's
Chuck the
the
like
end of the sixth part one, of the seventh part
seventh
one,
part
right?
one, and
Yeah.
and also the fact in the book, right? Like, if you just talk about the book, since it was just one thing, movies were divided into two.
Mm.
Just the fact that like the whole crazy part of Hermione being tortured by Bellatrix in this book and the movie, and you hear her scream, right? And you can feel the pain Ron is feeling um, when she's being tortured. Like, he wants to go out there, he wants to be next to her, save her, protect her from what Bellatrix is doing, but he's stuck in that prison, in that cell, and they can't do a thing at the moment. And like, but Hermione doesn't say a peep. She doesn't, like, she takes it in stride. She doesn't like wanna lose out to Bellatrix. Is such a strong moment for her character as well, um, and such a heart wrenching moment in general.
Dude, it's tough, man. Like they're down in the cell and they can't do
Yeah,
shit. I think they meet Griphook and they meet Ollivander,
yeah, yeah,
and they just, I mean, they've been caught and Harry's trying to like mess up his face so that Hermione messes up his face so that he's not identified.
yeah,
It's like, oh my god. I know we've begun backward, like from the end of, but it's just, I think that scene is very characteristic because they take Harry out and then they ask Draco to identify him, and you know that like everyone's waiting with bated breath for what Draco is going to do.
yeah.
That
And
just to
I love and that's such a good moment for Draco that
yeah.
he says, "Nah, this is not."
I mean,
And
he knows,
yeah,
but he, I think that scene is where you really go like, okay, Draco has changed,
yeah,
and he wants to be his own person. He doesn't want to live under the shadow of his father. I think
yeah.
primarily his mother's not as much of evil character as
She is not like particularly evil. She is
yeah.
just she was protective of Draco, and
She
she
was
just loved
protective of
her son.
Draco. But
You
the
know.
father is always shown to be a very vain man. Like, I mean, I
Yeah,
remember right in Chamber, right, when the first time they introduced Lucius to, he's so condescending
yeah,
because,
yeah,
and he fucking slips that diary inside Ginny's, uh,
yeah.
just
A cauldron,
want to,
into that
yeah, just
cauldron.
want to
Yeah.
punch that guy. But I'm so glad when Harry throws his sock at, and I
Dobby.
think no one's ever done that to Lucius. And Lucius is like, motherfucker, what are you doing? And he gives those socks to Dobby, and Dobby is a free elf.
Yep, yep. That was, I think, that whole, I don't know, that movie, that book. The book was a great end to the saga.
Also, did it
Um,
happen to you like at least when I was reading the seventh book, at least till
uh,
the sixth book, I was a pretty fast reader. I would kill a chapter
yeah,
in absolutely no time. But as I got to the seventh book, I remember deliberately slowing down and reaching every letter because this is
yeah,
the last book. I mean, okay, back then I didn't know that they would come out with Fantastic Beasts. I didn't know there would be Quidditch from the Ages. I mean, don't get me wrong. I consider myself, and I think the entire fandom considers themselves really lucky to have such a big universe of
mhm,
these stories. I know a lot of people whose favorite shows have been cancelled, whose favorite books were never made into movies, whose favorite
yeah. That's
sequels never happened. But I think as a generation and as a fandom, I think we've got this to be. I mean, no matter how much the movies missed out on the books or how much the books maybe had some plot holes or whatever, but just the fact that like till this date, I mean, right from the past 20 years, we've got Pottermore alive.
yeah.
We've got the Fantastic Beasts movies in the making. We've got JK on her Twitter page just
I
keeping
think,
everything alive. I
yeah,
think it's so beautiful. I think we're
it's
so
great to
lucky.
say, and I
I
think it's also because like the fandom backs this whole movement of Harry Potter, and the love for Harry Potter is just that strong, right? Like, they see
yeah.
one aspect is like, yes, they have the business side of things where they look at it and they see that people are that interested and they'll make money, so they do all these things. But the other aspect is like, there's genuine love for doing that, right? The reason why they're doing the Wizarding World page on Insta is doing the Harry Potter from at home reading.
Yeah.
of Harry Potter books is because there's a genuine love for the story that was written, and like it's just like something that they can do to not only entertain people but also like share the love of Harry Potter with the fans, right? And it just, I don't know, like it's great to see that this is being kept alive, in general. But yeah, like honestly, for the seventh book as well, I, as you said, like I think for me, as I said, I read it late, so for me it was the movie that I did it,
Hmm.
at first. When I was reading the book, I kind of already had an inkling of what's happening, right? Because I
Yeah.
knew, I've seen the movie, I
But
knew
it's in a much
what's
more
going on.
expanded manner,
Yeah,
so
it's in
you
a
you
much
have
more
that
expanded
fun.
manner. The movie in part one was just felt a little long, but you could kind of like the whole book kind of explains it better, the way Ron is feeling, and when he gets squinched, his whole hand is gone. While in the movie they don't show that. Um,
Yeah.
the whole fact that the mental and physical pain that Ron is in, and that leads him to having that fight with Harry, in the book at least. Where he does, to be fair, he doesn't say the fact that, oh, you don't have a family to Harry in the book, which I feel like in the movie that I don't think Ron technically would say that, because Ron considers Harry his family. So but maybe it's to show that in that moment, because of his pain and his mental torture that he's in, and the fact that he was wearing that Horcrux, which was affecting him in a very adverse manner, led him to say that. But it's just the fact that like that dialogue hits so heavy, right? And you see that those three are in so much agony and so much pain, and they are trying to finish the tasks Dumbledore has left them with in his will, and like trying to find the different Hallows, and the way you learn about the Deathly Hallows through the like Lovegood's house, and like
Dude,
going
that
there and
that I think the entire meeting with Xenophilius
yeah.
is beautiful because the way they've added like a mini movie inside the
Oh
movie
yeah,
with the
yeah.
whole animation of
That
the
was
Deathly
so
Hallows
well done.
is amazing, man. I mean, I think it's a full blown story within itself. I'm sure maybe at some point they will explore that story, but it's shown so beautifully. And I mean, you can see how traumatized Xenophilius is, and he's obviously
Mhm.
doing it for Luna. But Luna and Xenophilius have like right from the beginning always supported Harry. And
Mhm.
I think we completely missed out on Luna. Luna's another beautiful soul.
Oh
That's
yeah, dude. Oh my God, Luna.
I mean,
She
she's one of
is.
those eccentric characters. I mean,
I
probably not
love her character, man.
it's such a gentle character, right? And I
Yeah.
think they first show Luna in the fifth
Fifth
book,
movie. Fifth movie.
fifth
Fifth book.
fifth,
Yeah.
yeah, when Harry can see the Thestrals and Luna can too, and
Yeah.
everybody else feels what the hell is Harry seeing?
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, just the entire
I think
story.
it's such a well written, or rather well shot as well, bonding experience between these two. Like they bond over death of all things, and I think that was start to a really interesting friendship, because you could see Luna truly like being there and helping Harry through the times where he felt
Mhm.
like there was no one else. So her small gestures, even though she had her own eccentricities and people didn't like trust her, so she also was in a similar plight of like people just didn't want to
Just keep
hang around with
looking
her.
for those invisible creatures, and I
Yeah,
mean,
the
for the life
Nargles,
of me,
the
yeah,
Nargles.
Naggles, and they had their own magazine, and I
Yeah,
remember scenes of her in the train just asking
yeah.
around random things. But such a beautiful character, man. Like, for sure,
Also,
shout
she's
out.
a Ravenclaw, right? So
Oh yeah, she is from the house of Ravina.
Ravina, Ravi.
Dude, but I know we're going straight up, but I think one of the craziest things of Deathly Hallows is when they show Aberforth.
Aberforth.
And
Yeah, yeah,
oh
yeah, yeah.
my God, like, and Harry's been thinking that all this while it's been Dumbledore who's
Yeah,
been using the enchanted mirror that Sirius gives him,
yeah.
and he has this pang of hope alive inside of him that Dumbledore is
Maybe
still
Dumbledore.
there, is still out there.
Yeah.
But it turns out to be Aberforth, and the entire
You
dude,
kind
like,
of also learn that Dumbledore isn't as perfect as you would have thought.
correct,
Yeah.
correct. I mean, I think in that meeting with Aberforth, you have a lot of and the book that Rita Skeeter writes about Dumbledore. I think you have a lot of build up for the Fantastic Beasts
Yeah.
franchise. I mean, I know there are a lot of theories out there I don't know if this is confirmed or it's still a theory, but that Dumbledore and Grindelwald were actually in love, and
It is something I think JK confirmed on her Twitter.
she confirmed,
Yeah,
right? Yeah,
she said like Dumbledore and Grindelwald did have feelings for each other. They
correct.
were in a relationship
So
and
they
stuff.
speak they tell us about Ariana, who's Dumbledore and Aberforth's
Yeah,
sister, and then they speak about her condition, and there's so much unveiling about Dumbledore
yeah,
happening, and it just shows as a whole how Harry realizes that he absolutely knows nothing, because that entire book by Rita Skeeter is actually is telling everybody things about Dumbledore that nobody ever would talk about.
yeah.
But
Also,
after,
learning like how Rita Skeeter got all these stories as well.
yeah, right.
She was an anime guest who used to like transform and like inspire
Despite
people.
Hermione trapping her and giving her
Yeah,
warnings, she's back to her
yeah,
ill deeds.
yeah, yeah.
But the entire scene with Bathilda Backshot
Oh
fucking
yeah,
actually turning out to be this creepy ass lady who's housing Nagini.
yeah.
Oh my god, that scene is
Godric's Hollow scenes were
oh fuck
crazy.
yeah, they go back, man. They go,
Yeah,
they find the graves.
yeah.
That is touching. That really is
And
touching.
I think this book really does a great job in showing like how much this war has changed each of their lives.
Mm,
um, it really does show you like what each and every character and each and every person is going through in this matter, because uh, no, it's not just the trio that are affected, right? It's everybody, and you hear like news about them on the radio and all
mm,
those things about like
mm.
people are going missing and people like how they are
Oh
managing
yeah,
their
yeah, yeah. There's
wars.
that radio that Ron keeps listening to,
Yeah,
and that at some point
you know,
frustrates
yeah,
Harry.
it's because he, and this is for Ron, it is like he doesn't want to hear his family, and that's why he wants to hear the radio. Ki, Arey, I hope none of my family is dying in this war,
Correct,
and
correct.
that like every time I think about it, it hits me hard, man. To think about like you're just hoping every day that you don't hear your family's name is crazy. It's crazy, and it really does. I don't know. It's so hard hitting in general, and the way Hogwarts has turned into what it has, and Snape being the headmaster at the time, and him.
Oh, dude, and then Harry comes in all this swag, and he's like, "You dare speak of his name?
Yeah,
You stand where he stands." He
yeah,
comes with
yeah. As you
this
stand where he stood, you dare speak
badass
his name.
music playing,
Yeah,
and then Dumbledore. It's oh god, that scene is, and then everyone gets behind Harry.
uh,
Oh, dude, and that's when the war fucking begins, man.
um,
Like
I
that,
mean, I
dude.
mean, I think technically the war was already there. It's just that it just came into culmination right there. And I think the movies didn't really show Greyback as a big character, but Greyback also had like a big, like as a Death Eater, he was quite the dangerous Death Eater, right? Like the guy who was the werewolf, the wolf.
Yeah,
Uh,
he's the one who actually infects Lupin, right?
yeah. Was he? I think
Yeah,
he
I
might
think
be.
it's Fenrir Greyback who's the one
Yeah,
who
yeah,
who, who gives
Fenrir.
Lupin
Yeah.
but like the way they've, I mean, of course, I think I would go to argue that probably in case of the seventh book versus the movie, I think it leans a little more on the movie's end because
True.
it gives you a very, very rich visual,
Movie, yeah, yeah,
like
yeah.
especially
The first movie does like even though it feels long, I think they do a good job in showing the desolation and the despair that people are feeling in that time.
correct.
Though I mean, I guess it's also because they did a good. The book had so much to tell,
Hmm.
but it goes by faster than
Dude,
for this one. It actually goes by faster than the
super
movie.
glad that the book has been split into two
Yeah,
movies. Huh? Like it would have
yeah,
been such a heartbreak to, like, of course, the downside was that you had to wait a year and a half till the second movie came out. But I'm
yeah.
so glad there are two different movies.
Also, the Horcrux hunt was great, man. Throughout,
Yeah, for sure, for sure.
like
Like
finding
not
out like
knowing how
how
to
many
split the
Horcruxes.
Horcrux, and
Yeah,
the scene when Ron comes back and he saves
yeah.
Harry from the lake. That
And
this
he
is
like not only that, he like while destroying the Horcrux, he's facing each and every one of his fears, and he still overcomes it.
yeah, that is big. Like the
Yeah,
whole mirage of Ron and of Hermione and Harry out
Hermione
there
and
just
Harry. Yeah,
telling Ron that you're worthless and your
and
mother wanted a
and then they
daughter
start
and
making up.
fuck. That's like no, chi, no, I don't want this. इधर चो को डालो, इधर जिनी को डालो, हर्माइनी नहीं
Very
चाहिए.
funny. Yeah.
Also, it's
Also,
really sweet, yeah, when Ron leaves,
yeah,
and then suddenly one day Harry turns up the volume on the radio and he starts dancing with Hermione.
yeah.
I think
That,
that,
that was sweet. That
I
was
mean,
sweet.
despite all that negativity, they still managed to do that. That's big. And then Hermione has this innocent laugh that comes
Yeah,
out.
yeah. And in the book, I think they didn't have these moments in general because I think in that it was more so focused on the war itself. In the movie they kind of put this moment in, and it kind of felt really nice to me. And I'd say like quite a few people I don't know like that moment, and who saw the movie only, like they didn't. I think that kind of caused more people to be around the whole Harry and Hermione ship for some reason. I wasn't there. Like I like the I don't know, that moment kind of spawned a lot of other problems of its own
I know,
between
man.
people.
But like,
But
just imagine the kind of things JK must have been going through
yeah,
while writing the last book.
yeah, dude, like
Like, how
the
does that feel? Like, that's literally
emotion.
like having a
Yeah,
child and your child's grown up and now the child's moving out of the house.
yeah.
Like,
I mean, honestly,
like we were reading it, right? So I mean,
yeah,
of course,
this
we were
this book,
invested, but just imagine the
yeah,
creator, the kind of
this
invested
book
she
was
was.
such a good way to tie up all the loose ends. To be honest, she did a great job in finishing the series here, and special like I think the movies as well did a great job in the way they showed it, and like each Horcrux having their own like special task to them, and how like the trio had their own wins against the Horcruxes. Neville had his moment against Nagini, and each and
Dude,
every
that
like
scene where Hagrid picks up Harry
oh yeah, dude,
and he thinks he's dead, and the kind of music that's playing.
yeah.
Oh God, that is so heartbreaking. And then everybody from the castle is like, "Is that Harry? Is that Harry?"
So much, man. These movies and books
Oh,
are so fucking good. Oh my god.
motherfucker just jumps off and then all guns blaring.
And then the way it ends, dude. Like just that final battle where all the Horcruxes are finished, and
Dude, he
it's
looks at him and
Voldemort.
says, "It's just you and
Yeah,
me, Tom."
yeah, and
He
Voldemort's
calls
at his
him
weakest.
fucking
Yeah,
Tom. I'm like, in
Tom,
your face, in your
fuck you,
face.
Tom.
Fuck you. We hate you.
Yeah, and
No, let's. So I'm like, let's finish this the way we
yeah,
started it, Tom. And
yeah,
he just like grab and dude, that they keep flickering all over the grounds and they're
yeah.
flying. There's so much screaming. It's just
Amazing
insane.
stuff, man. And just yeah, like the Voldemort, or Tom rather, getting defeated finally and dying, and then Harry deciding to break off the Elder Wand because nobody should have that power, and he's not power hungry to like just keep it with him even though he's the owner, is like truly a testament to his character, as like he knows what needs to be done, and finally like seeing them grown up 19 years later, yeah, like all they have kids now. Ginny and Harry are together. They are married, and also like the only thing is like the movies didn't do a great job with Ginny and Harry because I wish they had moments in the movies,
A
and
little
better
more.
moments than they did.
Correct.
Because it felt a little more awkward in the movies because I don't think the chemistry was there or well developed.
Agreed.
But in the books, like there are so many like when Ginny's just sitting next to Harry with her hands on his lap and just like talking about random stuff, and like just those small moments of joking around
And
about Hungarian horntails and all that stuff, and tattoos and God knows what, and her strong
uh,
character, and
yeah,
it's just sweet.
man. Dude,
Yeah,
I remember reading this image somewhere on Tumblr where the
uh,
person says that I remember when I first got Harry Potter and the Deathly Hallows, I picked the book up and accidentally flicked it to the last few pages and quickly
yeah,
shut it because they didn't want to spoil it for themselves. Okay,
yeah.
but they read this thing that said Ginny kissed Albus. And they were like, what the fuck is this plot twist? Why is Ginny kissing Albus? Like, just imagine the feels of that. Like, you'll be like,
And
whoa, what is happening? The book is
yeah,
not
yeah, yeah.
turning.
Also, we would really doubt Albus in life.
Yeah,
I
like, dude,
wouldn't trust
ये
him.
कैसे हो गया? Albus makes
Um,
a comeback. Ginny resurrects him.
yeah. No, but honestly, like, what an ending! And they have
Yeah,
kids,
dude,
and
it just
like Ron and Hermione are married and have kids, and
they look like proper
Goblet of Fire
uncles and
has
aunties,
kids.
huh? Like they
Yeah,
did a
yeah,
great job aging them up.
yeah. That was funny. That was interesting to see.
And that
That was,
entire talk that Harry gives his son, like you
yeah.
were named after the
Also, just
three
saying,
greatest
yeah,
headmasters, no,
yeah,
three greatest men.
yeah.
One of them was a Slytherin.